Welcome to WOGE'S Folktales, the channel for original and premium African tales and folklores with moral lessons. Subscribe for premium content. In the heart of Ugomma Kingdom, nestled between verdant hills and shimmering streams, lived a humble family blessed with twin daughters. The kingdom was known for its lush forests, fertile lands, and vibrant culture. The twins, Olanma and Ugomma, were born under the auspicious light of a full moon, casting a silvery glow on the entire village. This was seen as a divine sign, a harbinger of greatness to come. Their parents, Neoma and Obi, were respected farmers known for their integrity and generosity. When the twins were born, they celebrated, praised the gods for this rare blessing. Olanma, the second-born, arrived moments after Ugomma, her cry soft but strong, her eyes reflecting an unusual calmness. As the twins grew, the differences in their characters began to emerge like the distinct phases of the moon. Olanma, from the tender age of 3, exhibited a gentle and considerate nature. Her heart seemed to overflow with kindness. She would toddle after her mother, Neoma, mimicking her movements, trying to help with chores far beyond her years. Her small hands would carefully place pebbles in a neat line, her way of imitating the orderliness she saw in her mother's work. Olanma's affinity for the natural world was apparent early on. She would spend hours in the garden, speaking softly to the plants and animals. Her presence seemed to invigorate the flowers, making them bloom more vibrantly. When her father, Obi, was ill, Olanma, barely 6 years old, would bring him water and sit by his side, her tiny hand resting on his forehead, as if her mere touch could soothe his pain. Her selflessness extended beyond her family. In the village, Olanma was the child who would share her food with others, even if it meant she went hungry. She gave away her favorite doll to a weeping friend and was often seen standing up for those who were bullied. Her acts of kindness, though small, had a ripple effect, spreading goodwill throughout Ugomma. In contrast, Ugomma's nature unfolded differently. From the beginning, she showed signs of a more demanding personality. While Olanma found joy in the simplest things, Ugomma was never satisfied. She wanted the largest portion of food, the most beautiful clothes, and the most attention. If she did not get her way, her cries would echo through their modest home, and her tantrums would last until her parents, worn out and beleaguered, relented. Neoma and Obi, loving and well-meaning, often excused Ugomma's behavior as a phase she would outgrow. She is still young, they would say. She will learn in time. This leniency, however, only served to reinforce Ugomma's sense of entitlement. The more they indulged her, the more demanding she became. As the twins entered their early adolescent years, the differences in their characters became more pronounced. Olanma, always the first to volunteer help, became known for her kind deeds throughout the village. She would assist the elderly with their errands and even take care of her younger cousins with the patience of a saint whenever they visited. Her heart was as boundless as the sky, encompassing all who needed her. Ugomma, on the other hand, grew increasingly selfish and stingy. She hoarded her toys and treats, refusing to share even when others were in need. If she saw someone else with something she desired, she would scheme to get it for herself, resorting to deceit or manipulation if necessary. Her greed extended to her interactions with Olanma, whom she often left to do household chores alone while she played or rested. Neoma and Obi continued to hope that Ugomma would change, but their patience and leniency only enabled her behavior further. They found it difficult to discipline her strictly, often softening their reprimands with the belief that she would grow out of her selfishness. She will learn in time, they reassured each other, though deep down they worried about the path she was on. Their neighbours, while noticing the stark contrast between the twins, often chose to overlook Ugomma's faults. Out of respect for Neoma and Obi, many attributed Ugomma's behaviour to the whims of youth. They whispered among themselves about her refusal to help with communal tasks, or her tendency to take more than her fair share at festivals and gatherings. Yet they hoped, like her parents, that time would temper her nature. Olanma, despite her sister's behaviour, never stopped loving Ugomma. She continued to include her in games, share her belongings, and defend her against criticism. Olanma's kindness was so profound that it often highlighted Ugomma's faults even more starkly. Ugomma, instead of feeling gratitude, grew increasingly resentful. She envied the love and admiration that Olanma received and began to harbour jealousy. As the years passed, the twins grew into young girls, their paths diverging further. Olanma's compassion and selflessness became more ingrained in her character, while Ugomma's greed and jealousy hardened into her personality. When the twins, Olanma and Ugomma, turned 18, the Umuoma kingdom was flourishing. The crops were bountiful, and the streams flowed with crystal-clear water, sustaining both the people and the land. However, a dark cloud loomed on the horizon, bringing with it a calamity that would test the resilience and unity of the kingdom. One fateful day, a strange illness began to spread through Umuoma. It struck without warning, affecting both the old and the young. The afflicted developed feverish symptoms, their strength sapped away as their bodies wasted. The village's bustling market fell silent, and the once joyous songs of the fields turned into cries of despair. Fear gripped the hearts of the villagers as the illness claimed lives daily. Villagers ran helter-skelter, seeking remedies from every corner of the kingdom. The healers, known for their knowledge of herbs and ancient treatments, tried every remedy they knew. They brewed potent concoctions, chanted incantations, and performed rituals, but to no avail. The illness persisted, and the death toll rose. The king of Umuoma, a wise and just ruler named Eze Anyanwu, convened his council of elders in the great hall. The air was thick with anxiety as the elders debated the cause and possible solutions to the crisis. The king, his regal face etched with worry, addressed his council. "Wise elders of Umuoma, our land is under siege by a malevolent force. Our people are dying, our streams are poisoned, and our crops wither. We must find a solution before our beloved kingdom is destroyed. What do the gods require of us?" The eldest of the council, Madubuike, a man revered for his wisdom and knowledge of the ancient ways, stood and spoke. "Your Majesty, this illness is unlike anything we have seen. The contamination of our streams and crops suggests a disturbance in the natural order. We must seek guidance beyond our borders." With heavy hearts, the king and his council agreed to send messengers to a distant land where a revered seer, known for her profound connection with the spirit world, resided. The journey was far, but the urgency of their mission left no room for hesitation. The messengers, chosen for their bravery and swiftness, set off immediately. Days turned into weeks, and the kingdom awaited their return with bated breath. At last, the messengers returned, weary but successful. They brought with them the message of the seer. In the king's court, with the elders seated, the king received the messengers. The leader of the group, a young man named Ikenna, stepped forward and spoke. "Your Majesty, wise elders of Ugomma, we have consulted the revered seer. She revealed that the illness plaguing our land is a result of an imbalance caused by the actions of mortals within Ugomma. The natural order has been disrupted, and the gods are displeased." A murmur of concern spread through the hall. The king raised his hand for silence, and Ikenna continued. "The seer also said that the solution to our plight lies within Ugomma itself. Many years ago, the gods foresaw a time like this and prepared a savior. There is a chosen one, a young lady in her late adolescent stage, who possesses the power to tap into the health and wealth secrets of the natural world. She alone can restore balance and heal our land. We must find her and bring her to Nkemdelim, the Oracle Eye, to learn how to wield her gift." The king's court fell silent as the weight of the seer's words sank in. Ikenna continued, "The seer did not leave us without guidance. She provided specific signs by which the chosen one would be known." The elders leaned in, eager to hear the details. Ikenna continued, his voice reverberating through the hall. "The seer revealed that the chosen one will possess a mark given by the gods. This mark, invisible to the naked eye, can only be seen when the moon is at its highest and the night is at its darkest. It will glow with the light of the spirits, a symbol of her connection to the natural world." A hushed awe spread among the elders as they absorbed this revelation. Ikenna went on. "Moreover, the chosen one will exhibit 3 virtues above all others: kindness, compassion, and selflessness. She will have demonstrated these traits throughout her life, even when faced with adversity. Her actions will speak louder than any words." The seer also said that the chosen one will have an innate ability to heal and comfort those in need. She will have a natural affinity for the living world, plants, animals, and people alike, showing an understanding that transcends ordinary knowledge. The king's court fell silent as the weight of the seer's words sank in. Whispers of hope and curiosity filled the air, but uncertainty loomed large. "How would we find the maiden who possesses all these traits and signs?" an elder asked, breaking the silence. The ever-wise Madubuike, known for his deep understanding of the ways of the ancestors and the spirits, got up and suggested, "We should gather all the young maidens in their late adolescent stage. They shall be brought to the big hut in the king's palace. There we will call upon the Umuada, the revered women of the land, who have always been the custodians of wisdom and tradition. They will observe the maidens and discern who among them carries the mark and the virtues foretold by the seer." The king found his suggestion wise, and fellow elders nodded. The king passed the suggestion as an order. The Umuada were a respected group of elderly women, known for their sharp eyes and keen judgment. They were the daughters of the land, bound by tradition to uphold the values and customs of Ugomma. Their wisdom was unparalleled, and their decisions were final. The king ordered his heralds to announce the gathering. Drummers were sent out to the farthest reaches of the kingdom, their beats echoing through the hills and valleys, calling all maidens of age to the palace. The air was thick with anticipation and hope. In the days leading up to the gathering, the village was abuzz with activity. Mothers prepared their daughters, braiding their hair, and adorning them with the finest beads and wrappers. Fathers spoke words of encouragement, reminding their daughters of the virtues they were to embody. Among the maidens, there was a mix of excitement and nervousness, each wondering if she could be the chosen one. On the appointed day, the maidens assembled at the big hut in the king's palace. The hut was large and imposing, with thatched roofs and intricately carved wooden pillars that told the stories of their ancestors. Inside, the air was cool and filled with the scent of burning incense, meant to purify the space and invite the presence of the gods. The 5 elderly women from the Umuada, chosen for their wisdom and impartiality, took their places at the front of the hut. They were dressed in traditional white wrappers, symbolizing purity and their sacred duty. Their eyes, sharp and discerning, scanned the assembled maidens. Madubuik, standing beside the king, addressed the gathered maidens. Daughters of Ugomma, you have been called here because among you lies the savior of our land. The seer has given us signs to identify her. The Umuada will observe you to find the traits that have been revealed. Be true, for the gods are watching. The Umuada began their observations. They moved among the maidens, engaging them in conversation, watching their interactions, and observing their demeanor. They asked questions that revealed character and tested their responses to various scenarios. Each maiden was closely examined, their reactions and behaviors scrutinized with an unerring eye. Olanma stood quietly among the other maidens, her heart steady and calm. She answered the questions with humility and sincerity, her natural kindness shining through in every word. She assisted others who were nervous, calming their fears with gentle reassurances. The Umuada took note of her actions, her words, and her presence. Ugomma, watching her sister, felt the weight of her envy grow. She answered the questions as well, but her responses lacked the genuine compassion and selflessness that marked Olanma's. She tried to outshine her sister, but the elder's discerning eyes saw through the facade. As the sun began to set, the full moon rose, casting its silvery light over the palace. The Umuada called for the maidens to step outside. Under the moon's glow, they searched for the mark the seer had spoken of. One by one, the maidens were examined. When it was Olanma's turn, a soft gasp went through the Umuada. There, on her shoulder, was a faint glowing mark, visible only under the moonlight. It shimmered like the light of the spirits, confirming the seer's prophecy. The Umuada exchanged knowing glances and nodded. At dawn, the Umuada reported to the king and his council of elders that the chosen one had been found. The king promptly dispatched his heralds to announce that the villagers should gather at the village square for the revelation of the chosen one. As soon as the sun rose, the villagers congregated at the village square. All the maidens who had assembled at the palace were led by the Umuada to the square. The eldest of the Umuada, Nwanyibuife, was called forward to make the announcement. She stepped forward with Olanma and raised her hands to quiet the crowd. People of Ugomma, we have found the chosen one. Olanma bears the mark and has demonstrated the virtues of kindness, compassion, and selflessness. The gods have spoken through her. Olanma was utterly surprised. She wasn't expecting she'd be the one. The villagers burst into joy and relief, offering praises to the gods and expressing gratitude to the Umuada for their wisdom. Olanma, although overwhelmed, embraced her destiny with grace. Ugomma, seething with jealousy, slipped into the shadows, her heart filled with resentment. With the chosen one now identified, the path ahead was clear. Olanma would be taken to Nkemdilim, the oracle, to learn how to harness her gift and save the kingdom. Olanma's training under Nkemdilim, the oracle, lasted 3 market days. During this period, she delved deep into the ancient secrets of the natural world, learning to harness the divine powers bestowed upon her by the gods. Nkemdilim, a figure shrouded in mystery and wisdom, guided her with patience and precision, ensuring that Olanma understood the weight of her responsibilities. The first day of training was devoted to understanding the spiritual connection between all living things. Nkemdilim took Olanma to a sacred grove, a place where the veil between the mortal world and the spirit world was thin. Here, Olanma learned to listen to the whispers of the trees, the songs of the birds, and the murmurs of the streams. She felt the life force pulsing through the earth, a symphony of existence that she could now perceive and influence. "Feel the energy, Olanma," Nkemdilim instructed. "The land is alive, and it communicates with us. To heal it, you must first understand its pain." Olanma sat quietly, her senses attuned to the surroundings. She felt the agony of the poisoned streams and the withering crops, their cries for help resonating within her. She wept for the suffering land, but her tears were not of despair. They were of determination. She vowed to restore harmony to Ugomma. The second day was spent mastering the ancient rituals and incantations needed to channel her healing powers. Nkemdilim taught Olanma the sacred words and gestures that could unlock the secrets of the earth. They performed intricate ceremonies, calling upon the spirits of the ancestors and the gods to lend their strength. "Each word, each movement has a purpose," Nkemdilim explained. "Together, they create a bridge between our world and the divine. Through this bridge, you will draw the power to heal." Olanma practiced tirelessly, her focus unwavering. She felt the energies coalesce around her, a tangible force that she could shape and direct. By the end of the day, she had mastered the incantations, her voice steady and confident, her movements precise and graceful. On the third day, Nkemdilim took Olanma to the heart of the kingdom's suffering, the poisoned streams and dying fields. Here, she would put her training to the ultimate test. The villagers followed at a respectful distance, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and anxiety. "Olanma," Nkemdilim said, "the time has come. Use all you have learned to restore balance to our land. Remember, the gods are with you." Olanma stood at the edge of a contaminated stream, the water dark and foul-smelling. She closed her eyes and began the ritual, her voice rising in a powerful chant. Her words, imbued with the energy of the gods, resonated through the air, causing a hush to fall over the gathered villagers. As she chanted, Olanma raised her hands, tracing intricate patterns in the air. The ground beneath her feet began to glow, a soft, ethereal light spreading outwards. She felt the power of the gods flow through her, a warm, comforting presence that guided her actions. "By the spirits of the ancestors, by the grace of the gods, I cleanse this land," Olanma proclaimed. The light intensified, enveloping the stream. Slowly, the dark waters began to clear, the foul smell dissipating. The villagers watched in awe as the water returned to its natural crystalline state. Fish, once thought dead, swam joyously in the rejuvenated stream. Olanma moved to the fields, repeating the ritual. She knelt on the dry, cracked earth, her hands pressing into the soil. The ground responded to her touch, the light spreading through the fields. With each chant, the crops began to revive, their wilted leaves unfurling and regaining their vibrant green color. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Within hours, the fields were lush and bountiful once more, the air filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. The villagers, overcome with joy and relief, fell to their knees, praising the gods and thanking Olanma for her sacrifice and dedication. With the streams purified and the crops restored, Olanma turned her attention to the most heart-wrenching task of all, healing the people of Ugomma, who had fallen ill and were on the brink of death. The villagers gathered at the village square, their faces a mix of hope and fear, as they brought forth their sick and afflicted loved ones. The once vibrant community had been ravaged by the strange illness, leaving many weak and despairing. Nkemdelim stood beside Olanma, her wise eyes filled with confidence in her pupil. "You have restored the land, Olanma," she said. "Now, restore the people. Remember, the power of the gods flows through you." Olanma nodded, steeling herself for the immense task ahead. She instructed the villagers to form a large circle around the square, with the sick at the center. As the villagers took their places, the air grew thick with anticipation. The sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the square, as if blessing the proceedings. Olanma began by lighting a sacred fire in the center of the square, using herbs and oils that Nkemdelim had provided. The flames danced and crackled, their smoke carrying the prayers of the people to the heavens. She then sprinkled consecrated water around the square, creating a protective barrier against any lingering malevolent forces. "Spirits of the ancestors, hear our plea," Olanma chanted, her voice strong and resonant. "Gods of our land, grant me the power to heal these people and banish this illness from our midst." She moved among the sick, her hands glowing with a soft, divine light. One by one, she touched their foreheads, feeling the fever and sickness melt away under her touch. Her chants grew louder, echoing with the power of the gods, as she invoked their blessings and commanded the illness to leave. "By the light of the spirits, by the will of the gods, I banish this illness from our land," Olanma proclaimed. As her hands passed over each afflicted villager, a miraculous transformation occurred. The sick felt their strength returning, their pains vanishing as if they had never been. Eyes that had been dull with fever brightened, and frail bodies grew strong once more. Cries of joy and astonishment filled the air as the villagers witnessed the extraordinary healing. One elderly woman, who had been bedridden for weeks, stood up and danced, her movements fluid and graceful. A young child, who had been listless and weak, ran to his mother, laughter bubbling from his lips. The square was alive with the sounds of healing and happiness, the despair that had gripped the village melting away. Olanma continued her work until every last person was healed. Exhausted but triumphant, she stood in the center of the square, the sacred fire now a gentle, comforting glow. The villagers, now fully restored, gathered around her, their eyes shining with gratitude and reverence. "Thank you, Olanma," an elder said, his voice choked with emotion. "You have saved us all." Olanma smiled, her heart full. "The gods have saved us. I am but their vessel. Let us give thanks to them and to our ancestors who watch over us." That night, the village of Ugomma celebrated with a feast like no other. Songs of praise and thanksgiving echoed through the air as the villagers honored the gods, their ancestors, and Olanma, the chosen one who had restored their land and healed their people. In the glow of the firelight, Olanma felt a profound sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that she had fulfilled her destiny and brought hope back to her beloved community. Olanma's newfound status as the revered healer of Ugomma brought immense joy to the kingdom. For her invaluable contributions, the king bestowed upon her a regal abode with all the luxuries befitting a person of high esteem. Her huts were grand, almost rivaling the king's palace, and her family, including her twin sister Ugomma, moved into this new home with her. The villagers held Olanma in the highest regard, frequently visiting her abode to present gifts and seek her expertise in herbs and medicines. Her wealth and status grew to be second only to the king's. However, while Olanma's humility and grace won her the hearts of the people, Ugomma's jealousy festered, overshadowing any happiness she might have felt for her sister's success. Ugomma, unable to endure the constant reverence shown to Olanma, allowed her envy to reach dangerous heights. Desperate for power and recognition, she sought out the dark sorcerer, Obinwane, known for his malevolent magic. Ugomma approached Obinwane's secluded dwelling, a place shrouded in shadows and whispers of dark deeds. The sorcerer, intrigued by her desperation, listened as Ugomma voiced her desire. "Make me more powerful than Olanma," Ugomma demanded, her voice trembling with emotion. "I want the people to worship me instead." Obinwane, sensing an opportunity to spread chaos and discord, agreed. He handed Ugomma a vial containing a dark, viscous potion. "This potion will grant you powers beyond your wildest dreams." Blinded by her desire for power, Ugomma drank the potion without hesitation. A surge of dark energy coursed through her veins, and she felt an immense power that was intoxicating. She returned to the village and began performing feats that astonished and terrified the people. She could command the wind, summon fire, and move objects with her mind. For a brief period, the villagers were awestruck by her abilities, and some even began to revere her. However, the potion's effects soon turned malevolent, for they were unstable and disrupted natural order. The crops that Olanma had painstakingly healed began to wither, animals fled in fear, and a dark cloud settled over Ugomma, casting a pall over the once prosperous land. The villagers' awe quickly turned to fear and anger as they realized the destruction befalling the land again. Olanma, seeing the havoc wreaked upon the land, immediately consulted the gods. Through her deep connection with them, she learned that her sister was behind the chaos. Heartbroken, but resolute, Olanma knew she had to confront Ugomma. She found Ugomma in the village square, reveling in her fleeting power. The sight of her sister, once a beloved companion, now consumed by darkness, filled Olanma with sorrow. "Ugomma!" Olanma called out, her voice echoing through the square. "This is not you. The sorcerer's powers are corrupting your heart. Please, let us work together to heal our land." Ugomma turned to face Olanma, her eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You always think you're better than me, Olanma. But now, I have the power. The people should worship me." "The power you wield is destroying everything we love," Olanma pleaded. "It is not too late, Ugomma. Denounce his evil powers. We can fix this together." For a moment, Ugomma hesitated. Deep within, a part of her yearned for the bond she once shared with her sister. But the potion's dark influence was strong, and her jealousy had taken deep root. "No," Ugomma hissed. "I will not go back to being in your shadow." Olanma, realizing that words alone would not reach her sister, decided to use the power bestowed upon her by the gods. She called upon the spirits and ancestors, chanting an ancient prayer that reverberated through the village. The air around her shimmered with a golden light, a stark contrast to the darkness surrounding Ugomma. This called the attention of the villagers, who gathered and watched in stunned silence as the two sisters stood opposing each other, light against dark. Olanma's chant grew louder, and the golden light intensified, pushing back the dark cloud that had settled over Ugomma. Spirits of our ancestors, gods of our land, hear my plea, Olanma invoked. Cleanse my sister of this darkness and restore balance to our home. A powerful gust of wind swirled around Ugomma, lifting her off the ground. The dark energy within her began to dissipate, replaced by the golden light of Olanma's prayers. Ugomma screamed, fighting against the purifying force, but the god's will was stronger. Finally, with a blinding flash, the darkness were expelled from Ugomma's body, and she fell to the ground, unconscious. The dark cloud lifted, the withered crops began to revive, and the animals returned. The villagers, witnessing this miraculous transformation, fell to their knees in gratitude. Olanma rushed to her sister's side, cradling her in her arms. "Ugomma, you are free now," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Ugomma slowly opened her eyes, the malevolent glow gone. She looked at her sister with a mixture of shame and sorrow, realizing the depth of Olanma's love for her as she had called for the destruction of the evil power, not her. "I am so sorry, Olanma," she sobbed. "I let my jealousy consume me." "Shh," Olanma soothed. "The important thing is that you are back. Together, we will heal all that has been damaged." The villagers, now understanding the depth of Olanma's love and sacrifice, cheered and praised her even more. They saw in her not just a healer, but a beacon of compassion and forgiveness. With Ugomma's repentance, the sisters worked together to fully restore Ugomma. Olanma used her divine gifts to heal the land, while Ugomma, humbled and changed, assisted her with genuine remorse and a newfound understanding of her own strengths and weaknesses. Ugomma apologized to their parents for the pain and shame she had brought upon them. Their parents, overjoyed by their child's transformation, could not contain their happiness. The king, witnessing the remarkable turnaround, addressed the village. "Let this be a lesson to us all," he declared. "Jealousy and greed bring nothing but destruction. It is through unity, compassion, and forgiveness that we find true strength and prosperity." In the days that followed, peace returned to Ugomma. The villagers continued to bring gifts to Olanma, not just for her healing powers, but for her unwavering spirit and kind heart. Ugomma, now humbled and wiser, found a new role within the community, helping Olanma and the villagers with the knowledge she had gained. Olanma's regal abode remained a symbol of hope and healing, a place where the sick could find solace and the troubled could find guidance. The sisters' bond, once strained by jealousy, grew stronger, and they became an enduring symbol of the power of love and forgiveness. In the end, Olanma's story became a cherished tale told by the fireside, a reminder of the importance of humility, compassion, and the enduring power of family. The land of Ugomma flourished under her care, and the kingdom thrived in harmony, guided by the wisdom and grace of the gods and their chosen healer.